In the last few discussions that I've had with some of you, you've cited Professor Finkelstein as denying that there ever existed a Jewish state in the hills of Judea as a major kingdom. And Finkelstein, I call him Finkelstein because that's how it was said in Poland. Finkelstein has proposed what they call minimalists' acceptance of Jewish history. And in doing so, has created a sword to kill the Jews. Well, you see, secularists do not wish to have a special association with this land that is holy, that comes from God. The association that they have with this land, they want to be purely either ideological or political. They do not wish to say that there is a divine commandment and a divine imperative for Jews to live in the Holy Land, because that would obligate them to behave accordingly. And since they wish no supreme authority over them, they have to divorce themselves and their own family history from any association with this land over and above the Balfour Declaration of the United Nations Declaration to make Israel into a country. Finkelstein is part of that leftist, anti-religious group who have an axe to grind, because if not, if there really is a divine tradition, if there really is a religious association with the historical fact of Jewish life here in Israel for 3,700 years or 3,800 years, then they would have to change their lifestyles. And therefore, they automatically seek out information that will deny the association of Jews with this land. And by doing so, undermine the rights of Jews everywhere in the world to come back to this holy land. What are the facts, however, you'll ask? The facts are that every time Finkelstein makes a declaration that is anti-biblical, almost immediately afterwards there's a discovery that cuts under completely his assertion. There's a famous Professor Mazar, who is the granddaughter of another archaeologist, Mazar, Professor Mazar. And they have discovered incredible things about the history of the Jewish people in the Holy Land. They have discovered what appears to be David's palace and David's fortress, and a large compound that would indicate a powerful ruler in a powerful land. So what do the Israeli tour guides say to the tourists? That this is made up, that this is not true, that somehow or other the professors there are ideologically corrupted, wanting to find a way to undermine the rights of the Palestinian people. You hear this? Israeli tour guides saying this. And they're paid to say this. And Professor Mazar, her archaeology is suspect, not Finkelstein's. The fact is, the 3 different archaeological digs recently undermined everything Finkelstein has said. Those are the facts. The fact is that Professor Mazar is every bit as scholarly and knowledgeable as Professor Finkelstein. And Professor Mazar is not a penguin, is not a rabbi or the daughter of a rabbi, the daughter of a right-wing radical. Nasser Mazar, yes, was funded by a group of people who want to establish the continuity of Jews with this Holy Land. The problem with the educational institutions, not just in this country, Israel, but all over the world, in the Western society, is that they are dominated by left-wingers, and unless you accept their premises, your ideas will not be published. You will be castigated as as a loser, incoherent, somebody who does not understand the basis of scientific research. Let me make it very clear to you. Science is the discovery of facts. Theories, even if they predict, I can make a theory that the sun moves around the earth, and the proof will be that every day you will see in the horizon the sun coming onto the horizon and going around the earth. That's as valid a theory. It's called the Ptolemaic geocentric theory. That's as valid a theory as any astronomical theory. People told me that theories can predict things. This is a theory that predicts. The sun moves around the earth. You could visually see it every day. Now, of course, you'll tell me that people on earth think that everything else is moving when they're moving. And that's called relativistic science. But I want you to know that in relativistic science, there is no way of establishing the truth as to whether the earth moves around the sun or the sun moves around the earth. And both positions can actually predict positions of things where they will be. And so the fact that a theory can be used to predict things, observations, does not make that theory correct. And in fact, there may be several alternatives to that phenomenon that we either have discovered or are as yet to have discovered. And so, in conclusion, we in the religious community understand the science as well as any secular person. In fact, people who are religious tend to be better scientists than the non-religious scientists, at least at the outset, because they're more careful in making sure that everything is exactly as it should be. They're more careful in making sure that they don't come to hasty decisions. They're more careful to ensure that when they say something, that what they say is reflective of the facts. There were discoveries, supposedly, of the ancestor of human beings that was later dropped to say that they were really Lemurs. Why is it that the secularists, evolutionary, anti-Jewish professors and researchers will say things that are outrageous and later on have to be dropped? Whereas, to my knowledge, no religious scientist has had to backtrack. The answer is, who really has an agenda? The evolutionist has an agenda. Wants to prove that there is no God, doesn't have to follow divine order. Or in the Finkelstein's case, doesn't want to show that the Jewish people have a real historical connection to the land so that they can become friends of the Palestinians as opposed to their own people. How sad. How sad for you, secular scientists, for the fact that you are sold to your desires not to believe in God.